Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today. I hope you're all doing absolutely excellent, and I know many of you, as you wipe off your clown makeup, are absolutely doing excellent. That's because, ladies and gentlemen, the wait is over. Hollow Knight Silksong is here, and I'm recording this video at like 2:23 in the morning right now because I was just surfing the web before I was supposed to go to bed, and I was looking at just how great this game was doing, and I thought to myself, this is cause for a celebration because while there's been a lot of sad stories this year in gaming, layoffs, studio shutdowns, there have been just as many, if not more, real triumphant tales in this industry happening as well, whether it be Expedition 33 and what the team at Sandfall pulled off. I think of Oblivion Remaster, just a yes, exactly what we wanted moment, or what's happening here with Team Cherry and Hollow Knight Silksong and all the years of waiting and it delivering on the hype, but also delivering on how little marketing was really behind it in the scheme of things, but yet how many players are backing it. It's so cool to see a viral hit like this in the indie space for what is a pretty hardcore game that I've seen can filter a lot of people. So I just wanted to, when I was going through the news, talk about it. I have to say, and I'm not going to be a fraud with Hollow Knight because I haven't even played the first one all the way through, that I'm waiting a little bit on Silksong. I'm still playing a little bit more Chronos. I want to move on and play a little bit of Borderlands, so I'm thinking Silksong's looking like a good holiday game for me. I know the views would be crazy right now, but I just feel like you got to do something like this right, and honestly, it may be more rewarding to do Hollow Knight and then Silksong in my own time. So I thought this was my way of just getting involved, talking about the awesome things happening with Silksong, and then to hear from all of you who are just having a blast with the game. How's it delivering for you? Because again, these types of things just... seeing an indie developer get rewarded like this, it really makes your heart sing a bit. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Hollow Knight Silksong. If you're new here and you're into what's going on with gaming, consider subscribing. Let's start off at the core of this all, right? We finally get that September 4th release date. Many people are wondering, what's going on with Hollow Knight Silksong? When's it coming? We finally get that release date. Wait isn't that long after the eternity of a wait that was happening beforehand. In just a few weeks, which I thought was crazy on its own right. I love that they went ahead and did that. But then they take it one step further. Everyone's like, what's the price going to be? What's the price going to be? I get it. Look, the anxiety was high. A lot of people were kind of bugging out. I never really had to worry. Just after seeing, as we'll talk about in a little bit, that Jason Schreier interview over on Bloomberg with Team Cherry, I was like, there's no way they're going to jack up the price hardcore here. They know, especially if this is the most wish-listed game on Steam leading into its launch, they know this thing could be $5 and they're about to all be multi-millionaires. And we'll see that player count in just a moment, and we'll do the quick dirty math on how much revenue they've generated already on one platform. But yeah, Team Cherry comes out and they say Hollow Knight Silksong, here's when it's releasing, $20. Absolutely pleasant surprise for many out there. Wait, what? One of the most hyped games. You've spent 7 years on it and you're charging $5 more than your first game when it came out? That's crazy. Especially, this is the come up moment. When Hollow Knight 1 was coming around, it was just this little gem, but Silksong started off as an expansion and built itself into a sequel like this, and through all the hypes and the memes, it's almost crazy that they didn't try to charge more, but completely respectable because they know their fans would have paid for it, but they could have taken advantage of it. They didn't. And again, this is why companies like this are getting more and more rewarded, because fans value that so much nowadays. They value authenticity. They value the real shit, if you catch my drift. Now, how's the game doing? How much do fans value it? Well, it's doing insane on Steam. It hit an all-time peak of 562,814 players since its launch. This screenshot you're seeing now, where it says 395,000 people playing right now, that's at 2 a.m. that I took that photo. At least 2 a.m. Eastern time, right? Whatever it is in different time zones, I don't know. But this is the middle of the night for me, and I'm looking at those numbers going, yo, no way. I'm seeing people on YouTube saying I played for 10 hours straight. I'm seeing people do marathons. The hype for this game is real. It's just so cool to see. But amazing to see that kind of player count for an indie game that, by the way, is a single player game, right? We've seen this, Rocket League, we've seen Fall Guys, we've seen these pop-offs, no doubt, in the indie space. It's happening more and more with viral marketing, but this is just a insane level of success for a hardcore Metroidvania single player title. It just really good to see, and especially awesome to see that after the long wait, it's delivering for a lot of people. But crazier yet is when people were trying to get in, load this game up, buy this game, catching it on the hype. What's happening here? It's crashing storefronts. It crashed the PlayStation Store, it crashed Steam, it crashed Xbox Live, Game Pass users couldn't access the game. The demand for this game is crazy. Millions of people are trying to play it, and there's full-on AAA games with full-on marketing campaigns that can't pull this off. This is why, in my prediction, as I've said in many videos before, no doubt the industry is going to go smaller, because they see you can hit this kind of success with a 3-man team and people just memeing your game, and it turns out it's really good and it's $20 and you can make, I mean, you look at the number here on Steam, right? 562,000 people, just quick dirty math, $20 a pop there, like $10+ million in revenue. That's more than enough. I've always said when it comes to the money side of things in this business, it's about how much is enough to you. And for some companies, it's never enough, as we've seen before. But for a company like Team Cherry, they're set. Like, they're going to be in that Stardew Valley kind of camp where it's just like, this is going to sell like hotcakes for years and years and years. You got people like me who like, hey, I haven't even played it yet, but I bought the support because I just love the practices I'm seeing and I know I'm going to play it one day. But this is going to be supported for years and years where they can just do whatever. I wouldn't even be surprised if they start looking into like publishing other indies and helping out other developers because of the absolute massive amount of cash that's going to be coming through their team. So one thing that's really special about Hollow Knight Silksong, one thing I wanted to highlight with this, is the story behind its development, because Hollow Knight Silksong is a game that many of us assume, just given how the industry has conditioned us to think, was in development hell. And I think understandably so, right? We're talking about a game that, hey, we're making this expansion, it turns into a sequel, they go dark for a while, what's going on here? And then it pops up, it's ready to come out in a couple of weeks. Just as people have become more skeptical with the product quality in this industry, that even carries over to indies. It was very surprising to learn in a piece from Jason Schreier interviewing the developers that they were in what is called a development heaven. They said they were just having fun and their pipeline was really good, where whatever they were drawing was being fit into the game and they were able to polish things quickly. And so this grew more and more and more. It was easy just to pack on content. And that's why systems building, tool building is so important in game development, because you get to this moment here where, I mean, what was also fascinating about this interview that Jason did, it was a fantastic piece if you haven't checked it out. What was amazing to learn is that Hollow Knight did like 2-ish million when it came out, which, by the way, like for any indie team, they're going to be jumping for joy. That's incredible. But because Silksong and its demand and its memes were going crazy, it sold 12 more million copies since its Switch launch in like 2019. That's practically unheard of. And no doubt, like, not all those sales are coming at full price, but it's an easy pickup. It's $15. Hey, what's this thing that everyone's talking about? How good? Oh, it's really good. That's awesome to see. But they were in a completely different pocket than myself and many others assumed. Like, oh, it's probably this grueling development cycle. They're fighting internally. There's probably a lot of disagreements on the direction. It's like, nope, they're having fun. And they just didn't want to stop. And they're not going to stop. They share here, Team Cherry has plans for more Silksong content for months and years to come. They say, obviously, the launch is exciting, but what comes after is equally exciting. The more interesting thing now is that what we can add to it next. We got a plan. Admittedly, some of the plans are kind of ambitious as well, but hopefully we can achieve some of it. I'm really interested to see what that's going to end up being, right? Because you add more bosses, modes, quests. I don't know. It's cool to see though. And they got, like, for their team size, infinite budget to work with. So they've worked with a couple of contractors, so maybe they can get some help with that. But it's going to be really interesting to see what they turn Silksong into. But just, again, loving seeing the success. But not everybody is loving seeing this success. Polygon being one of them. Look, you know the type of content I make. I'm not about the call-out culture almost ever, because I don't have, like, ever since like high school, man, I just don't have the time for the drama. I don't have the energy for the drama. I never want to be part of it. But I look at this type of stuff and I'm like, we got to talk about it because it's ridiculous and it's clearly done for clicks. It reminds me a bit of when Starfield was coming out and these same websites kept regurgitating the same 95% player drop. I'm like, for the single player RPG? Oh my God, you know, but they kept going and kept going. So Polygon posted this article saying the gaming industry deserved more lead time before Silksong. And they post here in this mammoth of an article, too many games come out for any one website to write about them all. And playing games takes time, writing games takes time, the games media has to make these decisions, and Silksong, being one of the biggest games, is simply too big not to cover. It's like, hey, look, let's pause there for a second. As a content creator, I get it. Fair enough. Like, hey, that makes sense. Like, yeah, Silksong becomes the priority. They say here, it's one of those big releases, not too big to cover, but now media attention smaller publishers could have counted on is no longer going to happen as planned. The word of mouth that could have at least been estimated for is now silenced for some. One Polygon writer has devoted hours to playing Demon School for an assignment, and that coverage will be held until November. They complain in this about not getting a review copy and ultimately kind of fall over and say, like, what about like all of our coverage and stuff? Like, what about the little guy? So when I was looking at just Google Polygon Hollow Knight Silksong. You tell me who's the victim here. If you care this much, dude, like, you can choose who to cover. And yes, if you're a website who's up in the SEO, you'll still get your clicks. You can just balance it out. But making this moment about press and review keys, like, what? How far is your head up your own ass? Because here's the problem with this article too, is like, I do this for content, but I also understand, like, if I were to reach out to Rockstar to review GTA 6, they'd be like, get the fuck out of our inbox, bro. We don't need you to review it. Who are you going to tell that doesn't know about this game? What are you going to tell them that they don't know about this game? Exactly. Same thing with Silksong. Like, who do we have to provide this for? Why? We're the most wishlisted game on Steam. We've made a ton of money already. Who are we doing this? It's for the fans. That's all it's about, right? Like, we can be signal boosters, but when we're not needed, we're out of the equation. That's okay. That's okay, because you get to, as Polygon's clearly doing, you signal boost in other ways. You can go and cover smaller games. You know, one thing they used as an example here was this game that got delayed in Demon School. It was coming out right next to Hollow Knight Silksong, and Eastbird Games posted that they're delaying it to November 19th. And they do mention, like, hey, it's really unfortunate when, like, the effectively Elden Ring of indie games is dropping right on top of you, and that we found out with such short notice that Hollow Knight Silksong would just launch one day after our planned release. It's tough to be like this, man, but look, that's just sometimes how it goes. And I think a lot of these publishers, I mean, Eastbird did the right thing. They moved their date. You just got to move your date. Check your ego, and there's more money to be made by spending more money is my philosophy with it. As in, hey, you're about to publish this game. You're putting it next to a bunch of games. Like, to me, you even remove Silksong, I still think that game is launching at a terrible time. Okay, so you're going to launch next to Chronos The New Dawn. You're going to launch next to Hell Is Us. You're going to launch next to, like, NBA 2K on Switch. You're launching next to a ton of games. There's a ton of games. Everybody's Golf, if you want to throw in another obscure one. You're throwing your game at Borderlands in, like, a little bit under a week. After that, a ton of stuff is coming out. So Hollow Knight was the backbreaker, not everything that you were drowning in right next to it that also had full marketing campaigns. Come on. That is unfortunately the nature of the competition of the industry right now. There is content constantly. You might get 2 weeks, and that's great. That's the best you can do. So you may as well pick those 2 weeks wisely. And sometimes it's better to hold the product for a couple extra months to find your 2 weeks. Like, that's what I think a lot of these publishers are going to realize, because as I've talked about before, one thing that I'm starting to catch on to is a lot of these games hit 1 million sales really quickly. I think, look at Metal Gear Solid, another game that, by the way, launches next to Demon School, and a huge one at that. I mean, we're talking about the remake of one of the most popular Metal Gear games ever, but this hits 1 million sales pretty quickly, right? Not saying that's bad, but it stops around there, or it goes flat around there. It plateaus around there, and a lot of games have done that. Like, it's happened with Persona, it's happened with Yakuza, it's happened with tons of games where they hit this 1 million mark immediately, and unless you were like a mega hit, like a Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, then you continue to soar and go into the 2, 3, 4, 5 million. Same thing with Expedition. But otherwise, a lot of these games with good marketing hit 1 million and then just go like this, or it's a very small, steady incline before dipping, and then sales come in and kick it back up. What I'm saying is that these companies are going to learn the hard way that there's just too much content right now. And because of that, you are better off holding on to your product until it's a quiet time. You can't always predict when the quiet time is going to be, but you actually stand to make more money by holding it. Like Demon School, I think has a better chance, and the game looks interesting, by the way, has a better chance to succeed in this pocket. And I don't think, based off the message I read from Eastbird, that they were like, oh, you know, it's so sad, feel bad for us. I mean, they kind of indicate, like, crueler still, we find out with such short notice. It's like, was Team Cherry supposed to call you on the phone? Come on now. You know, that's not how it works. They got their own plans, just like you have your own plans. Would you be considering them if you were the new hot thing on the block? No, you wouldn't be. You'd be like, this is the moment we're picking. This is what's good for our fans. We're going to go ahead and do that. So yeah, Hollow Knight Silksong absolutely absorbs attention away from other games, just like other games would have done that to other games, and that's competition. You're fighting against the very nature of the industry, and might I add, you're a press site where if you feel bad for these games or you feel like, hey, this deserves attention, you can do it. I've done many bits of content that are not going to get the clicks they usually do, but I believe in them. Or I think people need to hear those things. Or even if it's like a smaller demographic of people, and I'm like, hey, this is cool. You should check it out. You do that sometimes. They're called prestige pieces for a reason, because you kind of just go for it because it's like good for the soul of the thing you're doing, not because it's going to be what makes you the most money. But would they know that? I doubt it, given that they posted that article saying the games industry needed more of a heads up. And then I counted on Defining Duke this week. I think they posted like 7 articles in like a 2-day window after that. I'm like, do you really feel bad for these companies if you're like swarming the SEO with Silksong? It's like, no, you're just as ravenous as the rest. So anyway, complaining aside, I thought it was interesting just to see how no review codes rubbed a couple of people the wrong way. As someone who's been on the receiving end, I guess, or lack thereof, of no review copies, yeah, it's frustrating, but it's one of those awkward things where you're like, what am I going to do? Complain that I can't get early free access to something and I have to pay like everyone else? It's ridiculous. I have to play the game like everyone else. It's such a privileged take to me. So I just thought that article was ridiculous, and it was so funny to see it in the mix of everything, because it seems like for every big game we get, we also get like a plethora of just brainless takes like this. So wanted to talk about it all, but just really cool to see Hollow Knight Silksong absolutely killing it. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on the game thus far. How are you enjoying Silksong? Have you wiped off your clown makeup? What are you hoping for post-launch plans? Let me know, and hey, guide me a little bit here. When I hop into Hollow Knight, the first one, the original one, right? I'm going to be like that. What should I know? I feel like I'd be a fraud diving into Silksong, right? My gaming plans were set. I feel like I got to do this one right whenever I do it. And so I guess like keep your eyes on Retro Rebound whenever those videos come along. But let me know. Other than that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.